Let's define it first.
Meta's down 70%. Do you think we can buy Meta? Elon buys Twitter. We buy Meta. What's the market cap for Meta right now?
Great. Yeah, everyone out there, YouTube, wherever are we watching, Facebook, make sure you like, subscribe. It's a huge one. Boy, I didn't realize how important subscribing is.
Yeah, but you're just going to get unsubscribed anyway.
Yeah, but we
by
got
the algorithm.
No, we're in good standing with the algorithm.
No, we're not.
I am.
You are.
I'm from California. They like me. All right, bring us in.
Welcome to the show, Jason Bible, Texas Real Estate Radio Network. We're talking about passive investing today.
Yes, passive investing. So let me ask, Jason. Oh, first of all, guys, if you want more information about what we do, about passive investing, about active investing, go to our website, mrtxre.com. MR is in Mr. TX as in Texas, RE is in realestate.com, and check it out. So, passive investing is thrown around in our world a lot of different ways. Mm-hmm. So if I'm dealing directly with a tenant, is that passive investing?
No.
So if I have to call Roto-Rooter out to unclog the toilet, that's not passive investing.
Doesn't sound like it to me.
Got it.
If you own Apple, are you calling, Tim Cook and saying, "Hey, man, what's kind of going on in my investment?"
No, I am not.
And then Tim goes, "No, I really need you to call down to Foxtron in China. We're having some problems with employees jumping off the roof."
Yeah, nope.
No, you're not. Okay, so that doesn't sound like passive investing to me.
Okay, got it. So there is a distinction, because a lot of people in our industry will call it mailbox money, man. You're going to go out there, buy a single-family house, you're going to get all this mailbox money.
Sure.
How's that work for most people?
It doesn't.
Yeah.
And for two reasons. One is I just see somebody dropped off Tiff's treats out there. All right. One problem is most people's portfolios don't get big enough. If
What do you mean by that?
You need to have 10 houses.
10 houses. Yes, that's what we
Not 10
to.
doors. You need 10
10 houses.
10 houses.
Could be 20 doors.
Could be 20 doors. Could be 40 doors. They're all quadplexes.
Sure. Yep.
So you really need 10 of these things.
Yeah.
But is it passive? I mean, unless you hand it off to a property management company, but still you're going to be getting emails. "Hey, man, toilet's clogged over here," or AC went out here. All right, what's the story?
Yep.
So
that's active.
Yeah, you're active.
That's what we call active.
Now, the IRS will classify it as as passive, but at the end of the day, it's still relatively active.
Yep. Those treats came to the wrong tenant.
Oh, did they?
So I'm waiting to see if if someone comes and picks back up.
Oh, okay.
We told them, no, we're just dropping here. Like,
okay, all right.
Thank you.
Nobody gets those by lunch. They are gone. Tiff's treats, by the way,
the problem is they're going to be a mush of no longer warm cookies.
Yeah.
It just breaks down into this.
Yeah, so if you guys don't know, Tiff treats are they're cookies delivered warm, and they're boxed. The inside of the box is made out of aluminum foil, so it keeps it nice and warm.
Yeah.
So you've got about a 4-hour half-life on these things before they turn into a gooey mess. And they're sitting right outside the studio, and we could see them.
From one of our passive investors.
Yes.
So, all right. So passive investing is more like set it and forget it.
Yes.
Right? So and usually, I looked at our breakdown, and we got a couple whales in our group. Mm-hmm. But for the most part, it's about 60-40, 60 passive, true passive investing dollars, and 40% from active accounts. But if we pull out 2 or 3 whales, it goes way up to 90.
Yeah.
90% passive. Mm-hmm. And so those are folks that, working out of their IRA, their self-directed 401ks, their retirement accounts, right? The stuff that the IRS is going to dictate on what they can and can't do with their money.
And most of those folks are invested in syndications, funds, and notes.
Yeah, we'll break all that down in the next segment. But they're gonna write it out of there, and someone's gonna say, "Hey, you've retired now. You got to roll your 401k into something else." And some people go with self-directed. And in that scenario, they come to us and they will invest with us passively. So they're not responsible for the toilets. They're not responsible for picking out the colors of the tile. They're not responsible for picking out the menu. They're not responsible for any of that. That is on the active side.
Now, some of them want to do that. We're like,
they want to walk it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're like, hold on there, cowboy.
Yeah, can I get in and see it? No, you cannot.
Not. I've always told, especially with my note holders, I'm like, look, you can see it at any time, but you got to call me first.
Yes.
And they're like, well, why is that? I'm like, I had a passive investor who, very first deal we ever did, we had, if you can believe this, 50 breakouts when we were doing the foundation. That's how bad
all
the
those rat
foundation
holes.
was.
Yeah, my gosh.
So these are like 2x2 holes
Yep.
that are like 4 feet deep.
Yep.
And this is an older guy.
Yep.
And I'm like, last thing I want you doing is dying in one of those holes.
yeah.
I'm like, give it a couple of days. We're about to cover them up. Then you're welcome to come. And then he ended up coming out one day when we were doing tile. And he goes walking through the kitchen. Guys get really excited. Call me. Like, hey, there's this guy here. I'm
Right.
like, what's he look like? What kind of car does he drive? And they told me. And I said, no, I know who that is. So he calls me immediately. He goes, you guys got kind of excited when I walked in the house. I'm like, yeah, you're kind of messing up my tile. So anyway.
Stop screwing around.
I'm like, hey, he goes, no, it looks really good. I just wanted to check in. I'm like, just give me the heads up next time. So anyway, it was pretty funny.
I guess the problem on that is what if he does catch a big mistake?
Oh, yeah.
And then based on his input on that mistake, we make corrections.
Well, I think here's the other way to look at it. The vast majority of investors, I almost want to say everybody that invests with us, if they walk in a construction site, they're not going to catch any of that.
Well, let's say he
they
did.
just don't have
but
the
let's say he
experience.
did. Then does he violate his passiveness now that he's a consultant on the project?
No, because he's not breaking his fiduciary duty to his IRA.
Gotcha.
I think if he walked in, this is where people screw up. I'll tell you right now. Investors will go, and this is comes from one of the top. I'm not going to tell you who he is because he gave me legal advice. I'm not sure he'd give you the same. But one of the top IRA attorneys in the country is someone we work with from time to time.
Yeah.
And he said, Jason, don't ever put the actual real estate in your IRA.
Right.
And I said, why is that? He goes, here's what happens. You're on one of your job sites that your IRA owns, and there's an emergency repair or a plumber needs an extra $500 to finish that day. Mm-hmm. And you write a check out of your personal checking account and hand it to him. At that point, you have just broken, I'd hate to say the corporate veil, but you have broken your fiduciary duty to your IRA.
Sure.
All monies, when that IRA buys that asset, all monies to and from go back and forth between the IRA. And now you've just put that thing at risk. And the problem is when you have violated the terms of that IRA, all of your returns are at risk now. So the penalties is everything.
Yeah.
Because the IRS cannot tell the difference between something called ill-gotten gains. Once you start washing money together, so we're watching the FTX debacle right now.
Oh, it's crazy.
They made money. I'll tell you right now, they made a ridiculous amount of money. They were successful at one point.
Sure.
But the IRS and the FBI are not going to be able to determine what is clean money and what is ill-gotten gains. So there's that big case that's going on right now with some investors here in Houston that we're doing some sub-2 owner finance and some other stuff. And the FBI's gotten involved, so has the SEC. And last I heard, they may be going to jail for like 30 years.
Yep.
But here's the problem. Were there legitimate deals that they weren't doing this bank fraud with?
Yes.
Absolutely. But the IRS and the FBI can't unwind. They can't figure out what's a legal transaction, what's not. So here's what's going to happen. They're going to have to unwind all those transactions. People are going to lose their homes.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to be wild.
Investors are going to lose money.
Investors are going to lose a lot of money because they don't know, like TFX. TFX is sitting there and they're like, okay, we're going to bankruptcy. There's a ton of fraud here. And
is my $100,000 part of the ill-gotten gains, or was it clean?
Is mine the clean 100 or not? And so, anyways, this is gonna be a giant mess. But that's part of the problem with these IRAs. Is it's like you got to be really specific. It's like it's for this syndication. So if somebody comes on site and they're a note holder, go, hey, you ought to do this instead of this. There's no, as far as I know, I'm not an
Yep.
attorney, so don't take my advice. As far as I know, now, if they write a check and it's outside their IRA, like, hey, I'm the lien. How about this? I'll give you, this one happens a lot. I'm the lien holder. We have a construction escrow. They write you a check for the construction escrow out of their personal checking account, not out of the IRA where the
we're in
note is
trouble.
held. Now you got a problem.
Hey, guys, we'll be right back. Hang tight. We'll be right back.
Welcome back, Jason Bible, Texas Real Estate Radio Network. Now, I know I just scared everybody, but I'm like, look, 99% of the time, it's real easy.
I think here's what we have to understand. If you're investing in the stock market, you're not showing up with Apple pointing out the things that they're doing wrong.
You're not going to show up to Cupertino and go,
Right.
hey, I really don't like the floor
You're
tile
not going
in
out to
this
Austin
building.
to debt for Tesla or any of that
Yeah.
stuff, right?
Yeah.
It's the same thing here, right? Why are you showing up to the apartment complex?
Yeah, I mean,
Right? Why are you not letting the general partners know that you're just sort of walking the property, right? It's like I want to see. Well, then you have a layer of distrust in your world that we have a problem with.
Well, and it's actually written into our fund documents, fund and syndication
there's
documents.
a penalty in there.
Yeah, you're like,
they
you're
can
not-
forfeit all their investment.
It's
yeah.
like, don't show up. Here's my bigger problem. Honestly, I don't care. But here's the deal. Somebody wants to go see it, fine. What I more care about is you start talking to my crews
Yeah.
and jawboning with them. They need to be working.
Well,
I'm paying those guys by the day. They need to be working.
I have one of the most horrible stories. And try and change it up. But we were doing a job.
Yeah.
And the guy didn't trust us on the job. And I said, well, why did you hire me? If you didn't
Yeah.
trust me, what are we doing
Yeah,
here,
why-
right?
why are we playing
It's
this
just
game?
a very distrustful guy.
Yeah.
And so he decided that he was going to double check our work.
Oh.
And got on a ladder and fell off the ladder and had multiple fractures in his leg and had to crawl from the second floor downstairs to get to his cell phone.
This was in SoCal, right? Guy was like in his 70s or something?
So
Yeah.
really, really bad situation. It's like, okay, I do tours all the time. Hey guys, we're going out to Baytown. I'll see you out there. Investors will show up. We'll walk it. Bring your boots, muddy ground. We walk it. Everyone's happy. Great. But I hate when I get a phone call that says, hey man, I'm over at this project and there's no crews here today. It's like, yeah, we did drywall last night. It takes a day to dry. You're correct. There's no one there, right?
Thank you for taking my time.
But thank you for that, and I'm glad nobody was there, right? Or showing up, and it's like, hey, I talked to the guys. It's like, stop talking to my guys.
Yeah, don't talk to my guys.
You're freaking them out, or,
So like my personal house, I was over there yesterday.
how's it look?
It's looking good.
Does it?
But they did tile to the ceiling. That was the first thing I saw. I was like,
because
oh.
he coded to the ceiling.
Oh,
so
did
I-
he? Okay.
I told him to go ahead. And
Oh,
do it.
did you? I was like,
Yeah, I
Rob's
did.
not going to be happy about that. But anyway, so I walked. I don't even talk to the guys.
Yeah.
I just said hi real quick. He is the tile man.
Yes.
I'm like, this is Michelangelo of tile.
Yes,
I ain't
yes.
talking to him. Of course, I don't speak great Spanish anyway, and he didn't speak great English. I'm like, hey, man. He's smiling at me. Hey. And so I was just measuring some stuff and doing some other things. But anyways, like, I don't even talk to the guys. Because when they're there, I'm paying them to work, not talk
me
to
too.
me.
Get to work.
Get
Yeah.
to work. I don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't want you talking to me. Oh, Jason. I'm like, don't talk to me, dude. I'm trying not to be rude. I'm like, hey, all right, hey, nice to see you guys. Go back to work. Don't talk to me.
I think the point I'm making is it's passive,
Right.
right? You don't have to be the job inspector on this stuff, right?
I had a private lender once. So I said, if you guys have never worked with private lenders before, this is how it works. I'm actually doing a deal right now with one of them. I needed, I don't know, 200 grand to buy the house
Sure.
and like 50 grand for the re-ups. 250,000 bucks. Say guy's name's Bob. So I'm like, hey Bob, you want to do this deal? He goes, yeah, let's do it. 8% interest, 12-month loan. So I'm going to pay him 8% interest on the 250 grand. And then when I sell the house or refinance at the end of the year, at the end of those 12 months, he gets his 250 grand back. So nice little 8% return. And so we're doing the deal. We're at closing. So I'm signing all the closing docs. I sent him an email. Hey man, call the title company so they can send the wire in. He goes, okay, cool. And then he calls me the next day. He goes, okay, so, my wife and I are really interested in helping you guys pick out tile and all. I'm like, whoa, Bob, that is not how this works. And so I said, Bob, I flipped 1,000 houses. Who do you think's got a little bit more experience picking out tile, you or me? And he goes, well, obviously you do. I'm like, look, I have no problem taking you through the process and why we select these things. But this is not an HGTV project for you and your wife. You guys are the lenders on this. You are the JP Morgan Chase lending me the money. JP does, after closing, your local VP at the bank doesn't show up at the house, be like, hey, man, what color are you painting the nursery?
Yeah, let me give you some.
Let me give you some advice because we just did the loan for you guys. And you're like, what are you doing in my house? Get out of here. So anyway, I had to explain that multiple times. I'm like, I'll take you through the process, but I'm like, I'm not, you don't get any design picks.
So all that being said, we do lots and lots of real estate around here. And so we have a number of different ways to do passive investing with us. And I'm not soliciting for any one specific thing. I'm just telling you the things that are out there. And it all starts with a conversation. And you can start that conversation by emailing us at investors, that's investors with an S at mrtxre.com, investors at mrtxre.com, or text us at 281-401-9008. Text the word passive, 281-401-9008. All right, so one of the easiest things that we've just been talking about, and I think that probably the easiest way to get into this thing and understand it is the first deed of trust, right? Which is just a private loan, which has been done forever.
Yeah.
Right? So there's a whole bunch of rules about it and set up. It's pretty standard. We hire an attorney. They charge us $400 to $500. They put all the paperwork together. You sign it. I sign it. We good to go.
So we were doing Jingle Mingle.
Yes.
And I'm
Jingle Mingle.
So I was selling a deal to the mastermind. Mm-hmm. Everyone passed on it.
Uh-huh.
I
know 700% returns are not good enough for these guys. We got to.
Well, I'll tell you what it was because you got to close in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I know.
So we're closing next week. Anyway, so while I'm sending this out to the mastermind, I'm hitting everybody up. It's a private lender.
Yeah.
And so one of our gals that we've worked with a bazillion times.
Many times, yes.
She walks up to me. She goes, Jason, Rob told me you need money. I got $100,000. I was like, find another $65,000. So my girlfriend's with me, and she's like, what is going on? So I'm like, this is what I do all day. If you're wondering,
right?
I have a beer in my hand,
yeah,
and I'm like, I need
not all day. That's
not
at
all.
night,
Yeah, no, that's at night. Yeah, not all day. Actually, I had David upstairs. We were enjoying some of the whiskey. He goes, man, that's pretty nice. Do you do this often? I was like, twice a year.
Yeah.
I've got all this stuff in my office. Like, never hang out and do like whiskey hour in my office. Anyway, so I was like, no, I need 165. She goes, all right, let me see what I can do. My girlfriend's like, what is going on? I'm like, this is what I do.
Yep.
People, this is an investment center. We're here to invest.
Right.
We're talking about money all day.
Painted it on the wall.
It's painted on the wall. And she's seen me too with a certain individual. Whenever I see him, I'm like, did you bring a checkbook?
Yeah.
And he starts laughing. He just came from he was out of country. And she's like, man, you're really forward with these people. I'm like, we're here for one reason.
Right.
Deals and money.
Exactly.
You ain't bringing me a deal. You better bring a checkbook.
Right.
So anyways, by Saturday morning, I got an email from her, and she's like, hey, I got 165. We're ready to go.
Let's
I said,
go.
Okay. So I said, here's the terms of the note. I haven't heard back from her. She said she's in, so I'm going to call her today.
Yeah, we'll wrap that up in less than 2 weeks.
But these little notes are super easy.
Yep.
And
tell her what you gave her honestly. What is it, 10%? 9%?
9%.
9%. Yeah. So we're going to break that down in the last segment. We're going to talk about risk here. But if you're interested in this stuff, it's investors, investors, plural, at mrtxre.com. Yeah, so that's an easy one, right? First deed of trust, super easy.
I like to think I'm the master at first deed of trust because that's like all I did for the first 7 years of my career was just like, hey, you want to do a deal? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, how much you got? And they're like, I got 225. I'm like, I got something over here. I need 165 grand for. You in? They're like, yeah, send me some pics and stuff and we'll talk about it. I go, okay, sounds good to me. It's really simple. And then depending on how you set it up, sometimes we'll pay interest monthly, sometimes quarterly, sometimes just at the end of the project. We'll just write you a check at closing. So it's really pretty simple.
Yeah, and that number 9% is pretty fair. We have a really good track record. We have an experienced track record with her. She's going to be very, very happy. She knows that of all the people she could lend to, she feels very comfortable with us. I don't want to say any other words, but she feels very comfortable with us. Now, there's a lot of people out there that's like, well, I'm at 12% and 2 points. I'm like, that's hard money, and I can get hard money cheaper. So don't, and you have to understand the utilization of capital, and we're not going to go into that. We have a big class we do on that. But your utilization of capital is really important. Hey, if you have all your money working at 9 or 10%, be happy versus only having half your money working at 12%.
Yeah, your real rate of return is 6.
Yeah, it's not good.
So it's like if only 50% of your money is out and you're charging 12%, it means you're only making half, making 6%.
Hey guys, if you're interested in learning more about this, just give us a text at 281-401-9008. Type the word passive, 281-401-9008. there's a lot of ways to make money in real estate, and there's even more ways that people tell you how you can make money in real estate. But what it really comes down to is making wealth. And here's what our mastermind simply asks. If you're between the ages of 35 and 60, you've got to carve out 5 years. And we're asking you to stop and for 5 years to take some really acute focus. We are in the best market in the entire country to do this. This is generational wealth. But the first thing you have to do, listen to me, it's 10 houses. You got to go get them. Once you got them, then the world changes for you. Hey, welcome back, everyone. This is Robert and Jason with the world-renowned Mr. Texas Real Estate. This is the Texas Real Estate Mastermind Hour.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. All right. So, I have a lead on, I don't want to tell you who it is on the air, but if when I tell you the band that this woman was in, you'll know it.
Okay.
And I'm trying to get her to do the Texas Real Estate Mastermind Hour.
Oh, can she start out with, hey, this is so-and-so from whatever?
She probably will not do that.
Oh.
She might give her name, but not from
Okay. Oh, that'd be great.
Okay. Anyway, and we're talking about passive investing. So the easiest one is that first deed of trust. The second step is a second deed of trust, and this is twice as much trust as the first one.
Truth be told, it's all trust at that point.
It's all trust.
State of Texas is second liens.
Yes.
So if the first lien forecloses, this is in a really bad situation. First lien forecloses, they don't have to notify the second lien. So you can wipe out the second lien.
Right. So this is where you, as the lender, is going to ask for the two letters that every borrower dreads. You're going to ask for a PG. And we don't mind giving you a PG on the second because there is some risk involved above and beyond the first deed because you're in second position. So we do seconds around here, and they're going to pay a little bit more than that 9%, and you're going to get a PG. So we do this for when we're dealing with a hard money lender. Hey, Jet Lending, we need $200,000 to do this project. And they say, great, here's $180,000. And we say, well, we don't want to put our own money in. Hey, does someone want to give me a second for $20,000, $25,000? We get the second, do a PG on it, and we can get that property taken down. We do the refi, everyone gets paid out, and everyone's happy. So we do that as well. That's going to pay a little bit more, but they're usually small. They're not $165,000. They're usually like anywhere from $20,000 to $40,000.
And you know why we started doing those? There's a lot of self-directed
Yes.
IRA accounts that don't have six figures in them.
Loose change.
Yeah, it's loose change. We call it loose change investing. So
Yep.
here's what happens. Let's say you got $300,000 in your Quest Trust account.
Yep.
You lend $250,000
I
out.
come along and I get $250 from you.
We get $250 out of you. Go do some deals. Now you got $50,000 sitting there earning zero.
Right.
And you're like, okay, what do I do with this 50 G's?
Yep.
And we had enough of our passive investors
And mastermind. A
a lot of
folks
our
just
mastermind
call,
guys were like, I got like 50 grand in here.
I
I
have
don't know what to do.
$32,600. Can you take it all? I was like, I'll take it all.
I was
Just
like,
put it
let
over
me go
here.
find
let's
find something.
Yep.
So a lot of times we just use it to help y'all with your utilization rate.
Yes.
Because then we'll get the other question, well, why do you need the money? I'm like, we really don't, but we'll take it if it's somewhere in our network, right? It's like somebody comes to us, hey man, I got 40 G's.
I'm
All right,
going
let's
to
go put
answer
it to
that
work.
question in
Okay.
a very actual case that's happening right now.
Okay.
Both you and I need to show $600,000 in our bank accounts in order to do a $3 million deal,
Right.
of which we will never use that $600,000.
No, it's ridiculous.
So we have to keep money in our world, in our realm here, so that we can get very, very big bank loans. So we would prefer not to be tapping into the $600,000 utilization fund so that we don't have to use it and we can just keep getting big loans.
Right.
So we're not broke. We just don't want to use that, and it just sits there.
You know what's funny is
It's heartbreaking. It just sits there.
sits there. Well, here's what's funny is like as we continue to grow these relationships with certain lenders, Certain lenders, we just send them our schedule of real estate and our FICO, and they go, okay, we'll do it.
Yeah, or a bank statement. Okay, you're good.
Yeah, you guys are good. But when you're first starting out, they want everything. Who are these guys? I don't know. There's this one guy, Orfino, could be a member of
Jersey
ISIS.
guy.
I mean, it's all that nonsense when you start. And then after you do a couple deals, they're like, oh yeah, just keep sending us everything. We'll do everything on $2 million.
Yeah, you get up to 1.5 million. That was the last word.
Yeah,
we're good on anything you got 1.5 million.
1.5 and below per transaction. Like, okay, that's fine.
Great,
So anyway, that's why I think it's so funny when a lot of new investors get in this space and they start switching lenders and all that. And I'm like, you're never going to build a relationship.
Right.
Oh no, well, I've done a deal or two. And the only way I can get guys to think about this in a rational way is to say, did you only take your wife on one date? And then go, okay, we good, right?
Yeah, we good.
We're good here. And then you start dating all these other gals.
June or May wedding. What do you want to do?
Yeah, what do you want to do? While you're dating all these other gals, and she's like, well, wait a second. Hold on. I mean, we went on one date and it was great, but
honey, we're good for June or May. I just got to date these other women over here just in case.
Just in case. I got to have a little backup plan here. Well, she was offering less points than you were. So, and they don't get that.
That's not how relationships are done in this business. So, anyway, we talked about it first. We talked about it second. Now we're going to talk about these are syndications and funds, and there's a distinct distinction between them. One is a fund is typically a pool, and the way we set up our funds, we have multiple investment products in that fund. And for us, what we're doing is using, we're spreading out the investments, which also means that we're mitigating our risk by having a diversified holding. And that's done through a fund. Typically, they're for accredited investors, which means it's a 506C, versus a syndication, which could be for multiple properties, but typically we do it for one property, one apartment building, one section, one group of apartment buildings. We'll do a syndication. That's going to be for sophisticated investors and for accredited investors. And that is probably, if I am using my expertise and my knowledge in real estate, I would rank that syndication as probably the higher of the four investment properties as far as risk goes. And so you have the single first position deed of trust. That's, as risk goes, and comparatively speaking, I'm saying that's a lower risk. The second's going to be a little bit higher risk than the first, but you get a PG on it. The fund is going to be lower risk because it's diversified. And then the syndication is going to be probably one of the highest risk things you do for any sort of developed project. Now, land is really, really risky.
Yeah.
But, you got a syndication. And why, you're like, Robert, these guys.
Right now in banking, everyone knows the Fed is a bunch of chickens. That's exactly what the problem is. The Fed is a bunch of chickens. And when the economy really starts to falter a little bit, even if employment gets to 4%, which is crazy when you think about it, 96% of the country of working age is working, right? Or chooses to work. It's probably a better way to put it. Once that starts to happen, you're going to see rates come down. What scares bankers the most is refi risk.
Yes.
And refi risk to them costs them money.
Yes.
So these higher price loan products, the reason you're seeing discounts on those higher price loans in the CMBS and MBS markets is because no one wants to buy that paper because they know they're going to be out of it in 3 years.
And the properties that are typically affected by that are those apartments or commercial properties, right?
That's right.
That you're typically doing a syndication on. Yeah. So that's why I'm saying, based on my opinion, that's probably the highest risk of the four things that we're talking about. Anyway, guys, if you're interested in this stuff, if you want to come out, we've got tons of classes. You go to our website, mrtxre.com. If you want to have a conversation with our investor liaison to see if this is right for you, you could text us at 281-401-9008, and you can just text passive, or you can email us at investors, it's plural, INVEST. I'm looking at him while he's watching the clock. Investors.com. 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 Just say hello. You're interested in doing some passive stuff with us. Hang tight, guys. We'll be back. I thought I was running out of time. No. So I wasn't going to spell it. I was going to jump on it.
Like, this guy can't even spell it.
Looking at him. He's looking at his watch, and I'm trying to read his face. No, it's okay. All right, so what are we going to talk about? last segment I said we are going to talk about? Well, we talked about risk, so we're going to talk a little bit about risk and reward.
Yeah, reward. Okay.
Bring us in.
Welcome back, Jason Bible, Robert Orfino. You know that last segment, they're like, this guy can't even spell investor.
No, I'm watching the clock.
The bar's not high around here, guys. It's not really.
Watching the clock. And I was like, should I stop spelling it and just say it again?
Yeah.
Anyway,
so I was thinking about this quote again this morning, and that is, and I think this will be the one that's going to be on my gravestone. It's amateurs talk about reward or return. Amateurs talk about return, pros talk about risk.
Yeah.
Because I don't think people recognize that when you are a real entrepreneur, not like I own this small business and I'm the only employee. Like that's not really, when you're really running businesses, you get thrown deals all the time. I'm getting, right now, I'm getting apartment complexes. I just got another one in 006. I'm getting stuff all day long. And my first question is, can we operationalize this? Meaning, what is the risk associated with the operations? Can we get the rehab done if it's $1 million in 20 units, right?
I like to.
Yeah. So but we can only take on so many of those, right? We can't take on 10. Yep. So our question every single day is risk.
4 months booked.
Yeah, we're 4 months out.
Yeah, 4 months.
In fact, the deal I bought in Corpus Christi, we aren't going to start rehabbing for 6 months.
Yeah. That's why I'm like, hey, get 60-day close. I'll be caught up. Yep.
Yeah. So the reality is can you get product out there? Can you get bodies on it, right? And then the second was, can you get them leased in the reasonable amount of time? And of the properties that our property management company has leased, they are doing it in half the time of the market. So they're doing a really good job out there. But that's the first thing we talk about. It's not like, Jason, this is a deal. It's a deal. I'm like, look, man, I see deals every day.
Yeah, deals everywhere. Yep.
I see deals everywhere. And is this a good deal for me? Again, there's some analogies here. It's like driving exotic cars. Oh, I'd love to drive a Lamborghini. Have you ever driven a Lamborghini before? No, I'd love to own one. That's what I say. I'd love to own. You ever driven one of those things before?
Boats.
After about 2 hours.
Yeah, I really want a boat. No, you don't.
No, you don't. I'll tell you what, like all my buddies, they all have these really expensive surf boats, right? And we go out on the lake. We have a really great time. But I've told them, look, here's the deal. I'll buy the house. Like, because we rent, right? I'll buy the lake house. You guys bring the boats, kick me a couple of bucks a month during the season, and we're good. They're like, you sure? I mean, it'd really great if we had like another boat. I'm like, no, I'm good. Yep. I'll just buy the real estate. I'll buy the $1 million
because you're the
house.
guy at 9:30 at night still trying to get the boat out of the water and ready for the next day and getting bit by mosquitoes and everyone's up on the deck partying.
Well, and when we're all there, we do help the guys out with the boats, right? Because it is a complete pain.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. And even though we have the service where like you pull up, they put the boat in your stall, but we still got to clean it and everything else. So there's still a little bit of work there. But anyway, it's like, man, do you really want to own that boat?
All right.
You really want to own that Lamborghini? Because I've driven enough of these things. I'm like, trust me, it's not, it looks cool at the club, but I'm like, it's not as cool as you think it is. Anyway, when you have unlimited options, this is what real abundance looks like. When you have unlimited options, then you start getting real choosy. You're like, I know we can do this. Oh, great, the return is here, but I know I can get this return in the next 6 months. I know this will fit well into our portfolio. This works really well for us.
I get it all the time. Hey, man, I got a great deal in Tyler. I don't have the infrastructure in Tyler. I'm not interested in Tyler.
Yeah, I can point to it on a map, but I ain't driving up there.
I probably could.
Yeah.
Somewhere around Dallas.
Somewhere around there. Beaumont's a great one.
Yeah, Beaumont all the time.
Do you guys do Beaumont? Not yet.
I get dirty looks. You don't do Beaumont? No, I don't. I have an infrastructure. You don't understand what it takes. The beachhead at Corpus we landed there 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Right? And only this year do we feel like, hey, I'm very comfortable now opening it up to the mastermind and getting a whole bunch of things doing. So we're wide open down there now.
Yeah.
But we weren't. And when people come next to me and it's like, hey, I'm going to go to Corpus too. I'm like, oh, you're going to join the mastermind? They're like, nah, I think I'm just going to go. I'm like, good luck,
bro.
Good luck, because all along the way, we've had people, it's like, yeah, man, I don't know what you're talking about with Corpus. I'm like, well, what do you mean? He's like, I couldn't find any workers. I'm like, yeah, there's no workers to be found down there. Small market. Yeah, I got to run my guys down. Oh, can I use them? Join a mastermind.
Oh, you use my guys.
Oh, well, I don't want to join a mastermind. Okay, well, the cost of the mastermind will save you more money on your project than you realize, right?
Yeah, your one project would pay for the mastermind.
Yeah. So what we do is when the deals do come to us, like that single family that you got a first on loan
I'll share this with you. Monday night before last, 2 weeks ago, After the mastermind, we do Jason's property hunt, which is that Monday. So a lot of folks join the mastermind on Sunday during our 3-day class.
Monday night.
And then Monday night, we're buying houses, buying properties. So right before this class starts, I get a text message from a wholesaler. Hey man, you're the guy in Corpus. What do you think about this deal? And I look at it, said, send me an email. Immediately sends me an email. $165,000 buy.
Yep.
It needs about $100 in work, but it's currently rented at $39.25 a month for the next 6 months. Yeah, $3,800 bucks. Mm-hmm. So I'm sitting here looking at this, and I'm like, okay. And then he sends over pictures and a couple other things. I'm like, unless there's something I'm missing here. Then we pulled up the map. I'm like, it's at one of the best school districts in Corpus. I'm like, this is a deal.
We have our assistant project manager down there. Give him a call. Hey, I need you to go over there at 5 o'clock on Thursday. Walk it, take pictures, let me know. He does. All good. I'm like, great. Where's my crews? Okay, my crews are this far out, but we don't have to do it. Then I'm down there. I drive by. I'm like, this is a thumbs up. Let's go for it, right?
Yeah.
So we get a whole bunch of eyeballs on this thing before we've even received the money from our investor.
Right.
And because of that, we feel very, very confident. It's like, hey, we'll take that first deed of trust. We'll give you 9% on it. We're feeling super confident in this, right?
So here's where it gets interesting. So I'm sending this deal out to the mastermind, talking to a couple of people, and then I'm getting like these questions back that have nothing to do with risk and nothing to do with return.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well, and I'm getting to the point with a lot of people where I'm like, okay, well, why are you asking that question?
Yeah.
Do you really need to know how many square feet it is? Do you really need to know if it's on a busy street? Do you really like, what does all that mean?
Yep.
And if I say yes to all of that, tell me where your watermark is or your boundary line, your red line is where you won't cross.
Right.
And really it's just asking, it's the C's. They're asking questions so they can walk away from the deal. And I'm trying to figure out, one of my favorite quotes is, you spend all day thinking about losing.
Yeah.
There's a difference between thinking about losing and managing risk.
Yeah.
And a lot of times people confuse those two things.
No, and they think that they're great risk managers, and they're not.
They're not. They're terrible at it. Because good risk managers manage risk and maximize their return for a certain level of risk.
In a very short amount of time, the analyzation is done. It has to be.
It's got to be fast.
Yep.
Bob shared with me Colin Powell's 40-70 rule.
Yep.
If you guys have not heard of Colin Powell's 40-70 rule, go to YouTube right now, type in Colin Powell 40-70. Colin Powell basically says you have to be able to make a decision with 40% of the information.
Correct.
If you have 70%, it's too late.
That's what happens a lot of times when we're doing these deals down here, and it's like, I'll give you another example. Mm-hmm. We had one of the mastermind members is like, I'm like, are you in? This is a good deal. You should take it. Well, I don't know. I'm like, all right, I'm going to take it. You're out? Yeah, I guess I'm out. Okay. Appraisal comes back. It's $30,000 higher than we thought it was. Oh, I want that deal now. No. Now you've got 70% of the information. It's too late.
It's too late.
You had to do the deal at 40.
Now, here's where it gets interesting, because people say, well, why don't you give that back to the mastermind? I'm like, because they're not learning.
Yeah.
They're not learning how to manage risk. So when they're brand new, it's like, no, I need all the information, then yes, let's do it. The problem is the best deals don't work that way.
No.
So the problem with this particular deal is you got to close in 2 weeks.
Yep.
So let me share with you some of the numbers. This is just for educational purposes only. Cash out of pocket is $15,000. Mm-hmm. So we're buying it for $165, needs about $75,000, $80,000, $1,000 in rehab. ARV is somewhere between $325 and $350. So cash out of pocket's $15,000. It should cash flow about $9,600 a year. That's a 64% cash on cash return. Equity, net equity is about $97,000. DSCR is 1.61.
So as a passive investor, do your first deed. You're going to feel super secure with those numbers. But you may not have all that in that first minute, but we have a working relationship with that passive investor, and she's like, yeah, I know you guys are good for it. I know you guys manage risk and are analyzing this stuff. I feel comfortable. Yes, we're going to give you the money.
We're going to do the deal.
So if you guys are interested in doing any of that stuff with us, looking at our funds, looking at our syndications, text us at 281-401-9008, text passive, or email us at investors@mrtxre.com. Thanks, guys.